Welcome, fellow history buffs and curious minds. If you've ever wondered what makes Singapore such a vibrant and successful country, then you're in the right place. In this video, we're going to uncover the fascinating story of how Singapore went from a small fishing village to a global powerhouse in just a few short decades. Join us as we dive deep into the historical events, economic strategies, and cultural influences that have shaped Singapore's journey to prosperity. Just 50 years ago, Singapore was a really poor country that was still recovering from a long history of occupation. But today, it's this thriving island nation off the coast of Malaysia, with a population of 5.6 million, just a bit smaller than New York City. And even though it has a small workforce and is tiny in size, its economy is booming, with an economic output of nearly $500 billion. This makes Singapore the 33rd largest economy in the world, beating much bigger countries like the UAE, Vietnam, and even its neighbor Malaysia, which has more people, more land, and even more natural resources. The amazing success achieved by this small country in such a short time has really caught the attention of many professionals, including economists and commentators. They're really excited about the idea of other countries following suit and becoming the Singapore of their own regions. It's fascinating to think that even a small island that doesn't have much resources or global political power can turn into one of the richest economies in the world. It goes to show that almost any economy has the potential to achieve the same thing, right? Well, not exactly. The reality is that the remarkable success of Singapore is one of a kind. The unique blend of factors that led to its achievements simply can't be recreated anywhere else in the world. So it's highly unlikely that any other place will ever become another Singapore. There's this common perception that Singapore's success is all about those industries housed in shiny glass skyscrapers. But the truth is far from that. In fact, even the economists tend to overlook the real factors that played a role in Singapore's initial success. So, what exactly made Singapore so successful? And why is it next to impossible to replicate that success in other countries around the world? To get the answer, we need to discuss pivotal moments in Singapore's history. The start of Singapore's journey as a sovereign nation was quite unconventional. While many countries had to go through tough struggles to achieve independence, or maybe negotiate it with their governing nations, Singapore had its independence imposed upon it. Back in the day, this small island was part of Malaysia, and it was a vibrant trade port for colonial empires. As you can imagine, all that activity made the place quite diverse. But with so many different groups living together, it's no surprise that some tensions started to bubble up. Things got a whole lot more complicated when the region got caught up in the chaos of the Second World War. After enduring a brutal occupation by Japanese forces, Singapore was left with the daunting challenge of rebuilding everything from scratch. In the following decades, the island kind of became a really big slum. It served as a sad reminder of how tough it was for people from different backgrounds to live in a tough place. And then, in 1965, Malaysia cast out Singapore. One of the first advantages of the new country was its unique form of benign authoritarianism. They knew that to tackle the nation's challenges, strong leadership was needed. They recognized the importance of taking a firm and decisive approach, and that's exactly what they brought to the table. The result? First, let's talk about public housing. Once the new government came to power, one of the first things it did was to reclaim vast tracts of land from private ownership at below-market rates to build affordable public housing. So let's talk about income taxes in Singapore. They're actually pretty well known for their super low rates. Right now, the highest tax rate is 24%, but that only applies to folks who make over $1 million Singaporean dollars a year, which is about $750,000 US dollars. This represents that free market ideology wherein there's minimal government intervention. But here's the thing. 20% of workers' salaries are still mandatory deductions. The government takes a chunk out of their people's paycheck. But instead of just spending it, they put it into this big communal investment fund. And the people can actually use that money as a deposit for a subsidized house. Housing in the country is still tightly regulated even today, featuring a unique mix of central planning and strong free market principles. Now, when people talk about emulating Singapore's economy, they often overlook this aspect. The truth is that trying to implement a similar policy on a large scale in any advanced global economy would probably doom the political career of anyone who suggests it. That being said, on top of the 20% deduction we mentioned earlier, a worker's employer now also chips in an extra 16% towards the same fund. These contributions are earmarked for retirement and healthcare purposes, so it means at least 36% of their income gets saved. And this rate is twice the average savings rate in the USA. People in Singapore are actually pretty amazing when it comes to saving money. Even if we don't take into account the measures we mentioned earlier, the average resident manages to save a whopping 54.6% of their earnings. By the way, we're on a mission to inspire people like yourself to make generational wealth, so make sure to subscribe if that sounds like you. Now here's the thing. Having a high savings rate isn't that meaningful if the folks in a country aren't earning enough, right? So, the government's next move was to attract industries that suited this small island nation. Fortunately, one of the country's biggest advantages is its strategic location. Singapore is located at the tip of the Malacca Strait, which happens to be the busiest shipping lane in the world. This prime position explains why, as we mentioned, it used to be a trading port back in the colonial days. Now the locals have another chance to benefit from it, and that's what they did. In fact, the maritime and shipping industry is one of Singapore's thriving industries today. Although it may not have the glamour of the global financial industry, the port plays a vital role in the world. In particular, it serves as a crucial refueling hub for cargo ships. As international trade picked up, making Asia a hub for affordable manufacturing, Singapore strategically established major oil facilities. These facilities allow them to efficiently import oil from various countries, mostly in the Persian Gulf and South Pacific. Then, they earn from providing a steady supply of oil to ships passing through the Malacca Strait. Because of its strategic location and the constant flow of crude oil freighters to its vicinity, Singapore has become the world's largest bunkering port. And guess what? The oil prices it offers tend to be even lower than those in the Gulf states. Although Singapore does produce a small amount of oil, with around 20,000 barrels per day, it's nothing compared to the massive volume of oil that passes through the country. Understandably, they will capitalize on that. Singapore has taken a big step in solidifying its position as a comprehensive maritime and shipping hub by setting up the largest commodities exchange in the region. This platform lets companies and speculators efficiently get prices for resources traded all over Asia. Once again, the government's impressive mix of authority and freewheeling capitalism really helped drive this industry to success. As you may know, the oil industry requires a significant amount of capital to compete globally. But the thing is that back in the mid-1970s, Singapore, being a rather poor nation, didn't have the financial means to make such an investment on its own. And let's not forget, investing in a foreign country, especially one like Singapore that was just starting out and had some potential instability, needed some pretty attractive incentives to get international companies to set up shop there. So, what did they do? Well, this tiny island nation decided to attract multinational oil companies by offering them a profit-sharing arrangement. Economists have also argued that foreign oil companies chose to operate in the country because of the freedom they stand to gain. Plus, the security provided by the one-party state ensures that they'll be subjected to consistent policies. Singapore had another advantage in adopting an English common law legal system from its former colonizers. This system is highly esteemed and widely comprehensible, allowing various parties to settle commercial disputes more efficiently. It also makes it more appealing to international companies compared to alternative systems in the region. And with this system, Singapore positioned itself as an attractive destination for businesses looking for a robust and reliable legal framework. Basically, we can see that Singapore's economic success came from a combination of being in the right place, having the power to make good deals, and taking advantage of the right opportunities. But you know what? It wouldn't be fair to say that Singapore's success is all just luck. The truth is that Singapore took advantage of its early accomplishments by investing back into its people and industries. And if it were placed anywhere else in the world, far from the bustling hub of global trade, it might not have achieved the incredible status it has today. Now picture this. A country gains independence in a region that suddenly becomes the center of global trade. And guess what? The government of this newly independent country can make decisions without facing much opposition. What's even more remarkable is that the government actually resists the temptation to exploit its newfound authority for personal gain. Plus, it takes a while for any viable alternatives to emerge, only happening after world-leading industries are established. Given these circumstances, there's definitely a chance for the country to become the Singapore of its region. But it's important to recognize the many uncertainties that come with such a possibility. What's more, even if all these conditions are met, there's no guarantee that it will achieve the same level of success as Singapore. After all, literally every country has its unique set of challenges. So, do you now see why it seems impossible for other countries to imitate Singapore's success? And if you found this video useful, then you'll love these. And be sure to like this video to let the YouTube algorithm know you'd like to see more videos like this one.